I am Ferdinand Marcos, and I am the President of the Republic of the Philippines. I stand today on behalf of 110 million Filipinos.
Let's start with Senator Tolentino. Go ahead, sir.
Well, masaya kami ngayon kasi finally twin laws passed, signed, and these are all very, very significant, historical, not just this year, next year, but for generations ahead, years ahead, because these laws, one, maritime zone law would really enshrine, domesticate in our Philippine laws what we obtained through the 2016 arbitral ruling. Number two, for the first time, we're now legislating the name West Philippine Sea, and we're now making reference to the eastern portion as Talampas ng Pilipinas, formerly known as the Benham Rise, later renamed as the Philippine Rise, now Talampas ng Pilipinas. And now we're also making the exact needs and bounds of our territorial sea, contiguous zone, exclusive economic zone, all the way to the deep sea bed, with all the rights that would be recognized if we submit this in due time to the United Nations. And the second law, the Archipelagic Sea Lanes Law, is a progeny of the first law, which is also relevant because we will now be dedicating 3 sea lanes, one from the Celebes area, number 2 to the Sibuto area, number 3 to the Balintang Channel, where all foreign vessels would be allowed to traverse, as well as the utilization of overflight by aircraft on the basis of the Chicago Convention. And all of this will also be submitted to the International Maritime Organization, as well as the ICAO. And I look forward to the day when we, while on board an aircraft coming overseas, when the pilot would announce that we are now entering the West Philippine Sea. Please fasten your seatbelt. And likewise, to be shown in front of the passenger screen would be a map naming that area as West Philippine Sea. So talagang nakakalugod ito dahil ito ay pagpapakita ng isang paninindigan ng isang bansa base po sa saligang batas, base po sa international law. At ang daming tumulong, si Congresswoman Arenas, ang Department of Justice, ang mga akadim, buhat sa pribadong sektor at buhat sa ibang bansa as resource persons, and coming at a time when we commemorate an event that was likewise significant, the Yolanda experience, more than a decade ago. Ito yung pagbangon natin, nakabangon na ang Tacloban, nakabangon na ang Leyte. Ito naman ngayon, pagpapakilala naman ng ating matatag na soberenya. Yung paglagda ngayong araw na ito, nung dalawang batas, 12064, Maritime Zones Law, Republic Act 12065, the Archipelagic Sea Lanes Law. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Senator Tolentino. Next, we'll hear from Congresswoman Arenas.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Thank you so much for this opportunity. First of all, I want to thank the President. From the time that he was elected, he was fighting for this, and this is one of his priorities. I also want to thank the Speaker and all the members of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, and of course, my champion in the Senate, Senator Tolentino. And sa pagpapasa nitong batas na to, we could now effectively implement our domestic laws and international laws to protect our marine and fish resources, and also to conserve our marine environment. At the same time, dun sa ating archipelagic sea lanes, nasabi na po naman lahat ni Senator Tolentino lahat, that it would protect our national integrity and security. Nagpapasalamat din ako sa lahat po ng mga ahensya, to the task force, to Attorney Freddy, to everybody who really, for many, many years, actually, for how many decades, fighting for this bill. And I'm just very thankful that during my term as chairman of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, we were able to pass these two very, very significant bills and this is actually for the country, for the Filipino people. And again, I have to salute the President again because sa lahat ng paglalakbay niya sa ibang bansa, pinaglalaban niya yung sariling atin. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Arenas. Next, we'll be hearing from Undersecretary Lopez.
Thank you very much. Actually, I will be reading the statement of the National Maritime Council on behalf of our Executive Secretary, Secretary Lucas P. Bersamin, who is the chairman of the National Maritime Council. But before I do that, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the media, allow me to say that we are indeed privileged and honored to have amongst us the principal authors of these two significant laws from the both houses of Congress, Senator Tolentino and Congressman Arenas. So on behalf of our Executive Secretary, allow me now to read the statement of the National Maritime Council. It is entitled Signing of the Maritime Zones and Archipelagic Sea Lanes Laws. The Government of the Republic of the Philippines celebrates a proud and significant achievement in its commitment to protect our maritime interests and strengthen our territorial integrity. With the signing today, this morning actually, of the Maritime Zones and Archipelagic Sea Lanes Laws by our President, President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. These two laws represent a whole-of-government initiative that highlights our unwavering determination to safeguard the Philippines' vast marine resources and assert our sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction over our maritime zones. These important legislations underscore our commitment to adhere to international law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas. They provide essential guidelines for navigation and the sustainable management of our waters, promoting maritime safety, security, and responsible stewardship of our precious marine ecosystems. Republic Act 12064, or otherwise known as the Maritime Zones Law, aligns and updates various existing laws that define the Philippine maritime entitlements and provides for a complete set of maritime zones in accordance with UNCLOS. It delineates the boundaries of our internal waters, archipelagic waters, territorial sea, contiguous zone, exclusive economic zone, and the continental shelf. This clarity is vital in establishing the scope of the Philippine maritime jurisdiction, ensuring that our rights and responsibilities as an archipelagic state are clearly defined. Similarly, RA 12065, otherwise known as the Archipelagic Sea Lanes Law, plays a crucial role by identifying specific sea lanes within our archipelagic waters where foreign vessels and aircraft are permitted to pass. This allows the Philippines to balance its obligation to facilitate international navigation with its right to manage and protect its waters and national security. Moreover, it empowers the government to enhance maritime traffic oversight, strengthen law enforcement capabilities, and protect our rich marine biodiversity. In doing so, it reinforces the Philippines' role as a responsible member of the international community, dedicated to advancing our maritime sectors and conserving our natural heritage. With the signing and enactment of the Maritime Zones and Archipelagic Sea Lanes Laws, President Marcos Jr., along with our champions in the House of Representatives and the Senate, reaffirm their commitment to defending our sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction within the Philippine maritime domain. As we move forward, we encourage all stakeholders, including government agencies, the civil society, and the private sector, to collaborate in effectively implementing this legislation. The maritime zones and archipelagic sea lanes laws represent more than just new legislation. They uphold and affirm our national sovereignty and a pledge to our maritime future. Together, we can strengthen our maritime security, promote economic growth, and protect our marine biodiversity for generations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the statement of the National Maritime Council. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you, Undersecretary Lopez. And now we open the floor to questions. Okay. Tristan Nodalo, Newswatch.
Hello, good morning. Could you take us through about the feasibility of implementation of this law, given that there are existing threats, for example, in the West Philippine Sea from China, from Chinese vessels? So how do we plan to enforce ito pong Maritime Zones Act, for example, to make sure that we can implement it effectively?
May I answer that, Lisandro? Actually, that's the mandate of the National Maritime Council. The Council will provide for a coherent, cohesive approach in any maritime concerns, even the implementation of these two laws. So that's moving forward, the NMC will be working on this. Thank you very much.
If I may add, the 2016 arbitral ruling was criticized because it could not be implemented. The passage of the Maritime Zones Law is an implementation of the 2016 arbitral ruling. It is an implementation. So, in-implement natin dito yung 2016 arbitral ruling.
Thank you. Next question, Mikhail Flores, Reuters.
Hi, good morning. We're curious if these twin laws can address Chinese harassment or activities particularly in our EEZ, because I think they have already pronounced that they will just ignore domestic laws that will be passed in the Philippines. And are there penal provisions, and will we be able to arrest intruders that are encroaching into our EEZ and our territorial seas?
Kanino address? Siguro yung sa ASL muna. ASL, few months ago, and this can be validated by the gentleman here seated, we had sightings of several foreign vessels near Santa Cruz Island in Zamboanga Peninsula, another one near Lubang, another one near Giwan in the Samar Leyte area. So with the passage of Republic Act 12065, the vessels entering our archipelagic jurisdiction, archipelagic waters, would just be limited to the three lanes mentioned in the said law, Balintang Channel, the Sibutu, the Silebes. Hindi na sila pwede sa iba. So, implementation will be done by the Philippine Coast Guard. And the International Maritime Organization would be, upon its approval of this Republic Act 12065, would be issuing notices to all vessels, seamen around the world that there are only 3 sea lanes for to exercise commercial passage within Philippine archipelagic waters, and they can be penalized by the IMO. They can be banned by the IMO. So it's an international organization based in London who will also help us in implementing the said law. What will be the sanctions? Siguro look at the IMO regulations, kung ano-ano yung mga sanctions pag hindi sumunod dun sa 3 sea lanes. And the same is true with aircraft. Yung sea lanes, sa ibabaw nun, dun lang dadaan yung aeroplano. Doon lang dadaan si Singapore Airlines, si ANA, doon dadaan si United. They can be sanctioned by the ICAO. International Civil Aeronautics Organization based in Montreal. So what about the Maritime Zones Law? It's now the job of NAMRIA to determine the exact metes and bounds. Ito na yung titulo natin, saan yung territorial sea, saan yung contiguous zone. So merong hindi instantly yung tension sa exclusive economic zone will be diluted. Meron pa rin yun. Meron pa rin yun because the other side, China, is not recognizing this, will not recognize this. Pero the recognition, the imprimatur that we will be getting from the international community would strengthen our position. Ito na yung titulo natin eh. Di ba? Siguro sila na yung sasagot. Oo.
Mr. Chair.
Si Congressman Rachel.
We also have the reciprocity provision. It's a deterrent for, this is in the maritime zone, deterrent for exploitation, and there's a proportional response to if there's an international breach. We have that, Mr. Chair, now.
Follow up?
Just a very quick follow-up. We're curious if these laws will empower the Philippines to enforce Philippine laws beyond the 12 nautical mile territorial sea. And
Yes.
because the flashpoints are in the EEZs.
Yes.
And if so, will we be able to arrest
Poachers.
ships,
Poachers, yes.
yes.
Eden Santos, Net 25.
Sir, para lang po malinaw lang sa ating mga kababayan, paano po makatutulong itong dalawang batas na ito para mas mapatatag pa yung ating claim doon sa mga isda sa WPS? Are we expecting na i-recognize ito ng China? Kung hindi po kilalanin ng China ito, ano po yung ating next move?
Siguro pasagutin ko na itong DOJ. Mas ano to. Yung sa atin, we don't expect an instant recognition on the part of China because they have been disregarding international law. So, makakatulong sa atin to kasi yung mga mangingisda natin, number 2, yung Republic Act 12065, alam na nila kung saan dadaan yung malalaking mga barko. Hindi na mauulit yung nangyayari dati sa Zambales, Santa Cruz area, Zambales, na yung mga bangka nating maliliit na babangga na malalaking barko. Nakaiwas na sila doon kasi malalaking barko, doon na lang dadaan sa archipelagic sea lanes, di ba? So nakabawas na tayo ng sakuna. Yung implementation doon, Philippine Coast Guard. Doon naman sa Maritime Zones Law, alam natin, alam ng buong mundo kung saan talaga yung hangganan. Kung saan yung hangganan natin. So, mas klaro ngayon. Tapos, yung nilalaman ng arbitral ruling, pinasok lahat natin dito sa Republic Act 12064. Siguro dagdagan dito ni Attorney Fretti ng Department of Justice. Ma'am, nasaan na siya? Yun.
Thank you, Sen. I'm just here actually, to support the law, of course, the two laws, and to answer any legal questions if hindi po nasagot ng main panel natin. But the question is of Eden is with respect to what if another state does not recognize our law? As a state, you have a right to enact your own laws, and these laws of yours would be effective even though other states will not recognize your law. So the effectivity of your law does not depend on the recognition of other states. So now that we have this law, Republic Act 12064, otherwise known as the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, this act declares the complete set of our maritime zones, namely the internal waters, the archipelagic waters, the territorial sea, the contiguous zone, the exclusive economic zone, and the continental shelf. And the law specifically delineates the boundaries or the extent of this maritime zone. So this would help our law enforcement agencies in the enforcement of our pertinent maritime laws in our maritime zones. So this would give clarity to the enforcement of our laws, especially in the West Philippine Sea, of course.
Yun nga po ang nagiging problema, hindi ho ba, pag hindi ni-recognize ng China. Yun ang nagiging dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng paulit-ulit na harassment, ng ramping of ng ating mga sasakyang pandagat, tawag doon, pag ano, sa mga mangingisda po natin, sa ating mga sundalo na nandoon sa bahagi ng West Philippine Sea.
Yeah, those things we can continue, no, to enforce. I think the main objective of this law is to align our existing laws, because we do have existing laws on maritime zones, but these are outdated laws. These are old laws that were issued before the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So, and also we don't have a complete set of maritime zones. So it's the primary objective, I think, of this law is to make sure that all of our existing laws related to maritime zones are updated and are consistent with UNCLOS, and this would also guide all our agencies when they perform their functions in the West Philippine Sea. Kasi at present, there's a lot of confusion with respect to our existing laws. This would put to rest all of those confusion.
Attorney, also in addition to that, what the President said in his speech today was for the local governments to align their existing and to update their existing bylaws and laws. Okay, we have a question from NHK. Yeah, NHK Noriyuki Kanematsu.
Thank you for the... Yes. I just have a simple questions like how do you have any visuals like how this laws has comes to change the map of the Philippine seas?
Yeah, actually, we already have prepared the delineation of maritime zones and archipelagic sea lanes. We are just awaiting and anticipating the issuance of the IRR, the implementing rules and regulations, for us to fine-tune the same and to finally publish the map.
Okay.
Just one more simple questions. Why it is now to set up this bill in the Philippines, just like in this case?
It's been being debated for the last 18 years. We just waited for this interview coming from your side.
Okay. Alvin Baltazar, Radyo Pilipinas.
Attorney, magandang umaga po. Si Attorney Ganchon. Attorney, ibig ba sabihin nito, mababawas-bawasan na yung diplomatic protest natin? Implementation na agad ng kung ano yung tinatakda ng batas?
I don't think that's the effect, no? Because why do you file diplomatic protests? You file diplomatic protests if there's a violation of your sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction, right? So if other states do not agree with that we have rights there, they would continue to violate our sovereign rights. For example, in the West Philippine Sea. So our purpose there is not to, fight with other states. That's not our purpose here with the issuance or the enactment of the Maritime Zones Law. The purpose really is to provide clarity to our existing laws, because our existing laws some of their provisions are inconsistent with UNCLOS. So if you take a look at our existing laws before the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, they are fragmented, they're not integrated, they're outdated, and some of their provisions are inconsistent with UNCLOS. Isn't it that we make sure that all of our actions are consistent with UNCLOS? But there's some laws that are existing in our legal system that are not consistent with UNCLOS. But with this Philippine Maritime Zones Act, all of our laws now relating to maritime zones are consistent with UNCLOS. So that's the purpose of this law. But diplomatic protests, if somebody is violating your right, then of course the diplomatic protest can continue.
Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Just to add to what Attorney Ganchon said about diplomatic protests, I think what's important is for all of us to see and look at these two laws as a sovereign act of the Philippines, and primarily it is really meant to reinforce our domestic legal framework, first and foremost. And certainly, if illegal actions and unlawful presence continue in our maritime zones, anywhere in our maritime zones, I think it is incumbent upon our government to issue diplomatic protests against any foreign nation that conducts these illegal actions and unlawful presence. So we should separate those diplomatic actions from the enforcement of our laws. Through these two laws, certainly this provides very clear legal clarity to where our sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction apply. And if these illegal actions and unlawful presence continue, then certainly we will continue to issue diplomatic protests and other diplomatic actions.
Okay. Let's go. Celerina Montes, NHK.
Good morning. A series of questions po. When will the law take effect, and when will the government deposit the instruments, and would it need to deposit first these instruments before they become effective? And does this cover also the archipelagic sea lanes law? Covers the government-owned vessels, because previously there were reports of these Chinese research vessels entering our territorial seas or our jurisdiction. And in Pag-asa, whenever people go there, there's this welcome to China, parang somewhat saying na territory siya ng China. And Senator Tolentino mentioned earlier na pag pumasok ka, there will be someone saying, welcome to the Philippine territory. So would that change? And lastly, would this, kasi baka hindi na ako tawagin ulit. Lastly, would this help or fast track the exploration in the South China Sea? Kasi it's been pending for so long.
You had seven. I think you have 7 questions. 7 questions. Liwanagin ko lang, siguro yung iba na yung sasagot. Pag nagpasa ba tayo ng isang batas na, halimbawa sa revised penal code, bawal ang pumatay, will it stop murder or homicide? Diba? Pag nagpasa ba tayo ng batas na bawal mag-commit ng cybercrime, will it stop? Number 2, siguro yung patungkol sa dami ng tanong mo, nawala na ako. Effectivity within 15 days. But let's treat the ASL differently. It will have to be approved. This is the only law that I have encountered that would have to be approved by another authority, and that is the International Maritime Organization. So nakikinig siguro ngayon si Ambassador Teddy Boy Locsin. So immediately after the effectivity of this, I'm now referring to 12065, we have to submit that to the IMO. Tututukan yun 6 months, meron 6 months period for the IMO to decide whether approve or not. Nagtagal nun kasi may kaso nun dati, the Archipelagic Sea Lanes Law of Indonesia, it took them 2 years to be approved before it was approved by the IMO. Ito ngayon, ginamot na natin yung posibleng pagkakamali, north, south, east, west. So, malamang-lamang ma-approve ito ng IMO. Once approved ng IMO, ito na yung notices to all vessel owners, etc., etc. So, malaking tulong sa atin yan. Maritime Zones Law, 15 days upon approval, we can send that to the Secretariat of UNCLOS as well as the United Nations General Assembly for its imprimatur. No more approval needed. Notify lang natin sila. As to, ano yung pangatlong tanong? Sa dami. Ha?
Asa, the welcome to Chinese.
That's part of their propaganda. We can also do that. That's why I've been saying since 4 years ago na dapat yung ating radio stations, abot dun yung broadcast, ang tugtog, Philippine songs. Diba? Natandaan yung sinabi ko noon? Pati pagbo-broadcast ng Pag-asa, abot dun. So, implementation na yon. We can also do that. Number 5 question? Exploration. Because of that Supreme Court decision, siguro si Department of Justice, ibahin natin yung yung kanina may research ships, ibahin natin yung laying of underground cables, allowed yun. Kahit sino. Exploration, it has to have the consent of the Philippine government sa exclusive economic zone. Pwede mo bang dagdagay, Attorney? Pretty?
With respect to exploration, we do have that right, exclusive right to explore and exploit our natural resources in the continental shelf, as well as, of course, in the waters of the exclusive economic zone. But When to do that and how to do that is already a policy question. So legally, it's clear in the law that we do have sovereign rights, exclusive rights in our exclusive economic zone and continental shelf, because basically we just lifted the provisions of UNCLOS and made it into domestic law. So it says there in our Philippine Maritime Zones Act that we do have exclusive sovereign rights with respect to the exploration and exploitation of our natural resources in the exclusive economic zone and continental shelf. How to do that, when to do that, that's already a policy question.
But with regard to SC-72, which has been pending there for a long time, would have an effect, this law?
What kind of effect?
Makaka-fast track ba? Kasi hindi pa, I think, nag-start again yung exploration because of the issue with
Yes,
China.
the resumption, of course, is a policy decision. We do have the right to explore, but whether we resume or not, it's a policy question, right? Because you need to take into consideration several factors, not just the law.
Okay. I think all your questions have been covered. Let me just be fair and get, sorry, I can't see your name. GMA 7, Darlene Kai.
Can these new laws prevent a newly elected president, for example, to suddenly, for example, change the foreign policy when it comes to the West Philippine Sea?
Address to a policy is different from a law. So perhaps you're referring to whether a new president would or an incoming president would pursue a bilateral approach in approaching this problem, or a multilateral approach. That's part of the diplomatic arsenal of the chief executive. But the law will be there because our law now, as I've said, as has been reiterated, has been anchored on UNCLOS. And UNCLOS, if you look at the Constitution, it's a treaty which we signed, forms part of our domestic laws. And then we have the arbitral ruling. I don't think any president would change course. But in terms of approach relative to diplomacy, iba-iba yon siguro. But the laws would remain stable and firm to serve as anchor for whoever is the president.
Okay. Harley Valbuena.
Sorry. Last follow-up lang po. I would just like to reiterate lang po. So, how these laws prevent yung ramming and dangerous maneuvers of the Chinese vessels in the West
I gave you an example kanina. Yung revised penal code, will it prevent homicide? Diba? So, the law is there. Enforcement, we do that. The law is there to serve as a deterrence. The law is there to provide punishment for wrongdoers. And these twin laws would really fortify our sovereignty as an independent republic.
Okay. Harley Valbuena, DZME.
Sila naman.
Hi, good morning. Do we have the enough or sufficient security resources or manpower or force to be able to implement these two laws?
I would like to answer that. Having been with the armed forces before and also the part of the mandate of the National Maritime Council to have, as I said a while ago, a coherent, cohesive approach. Presently, our assets, we can actually implement that. But of course, we need to come up with more so that you can see naman kung gaano kalawak yung binabantay natin ng karagatan. While it is true there are only 3 passages, but then again, we need more assets, we need more bottoms, we need more technical capabilities to fully monitor, detect, and I don't want to say neutralize, but rather address any violations of our laws. We do have, for now, we do have enough, but there is more promise to it, and maybe these laws will now be a source of more development capabilities on a part of our maritime law enforcement agencies.
So, sir, are we expecting a sharp increase in the allocation of the budget for these assets?
We're still having budget deliberations. But definitely, to implement this would need resources, would need capital investment. We look forward to having more lighthouses, strengthen the capabilities of our Philippine Coast Guard. Plus, for 2025, I'm speaking on behalf of my committee, we're strengthening the Philippine National Police Maritime Command, PNP Maritime Command. So you will now be hearing news not just about the Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine Navy, but the PNP Maritime Command.
Also yesterday, we announced the 40 vessels that will be acquired by the PCG. Let's have Ken.
Can I just add?
Oh, go ahead.
That with this law, it would be easier for Congress to allocate resources. It would also be easier for agencies to acquire assets. But I just wanted to add earlier that our maritime laws are UNCLOS compliant. China's maritime laws are not UNCLOS compliant. We should pass laws not just based on one country, but to protect our national interest and security. Also, while only one country doesn't acknowledge our rules-based order, the rest of the world acknowledges the rules-based international law.
Thank you. Ken Sasaki, Kyodo News.
Senator Trentino told us that these acts had been debated for 18 years. I wonder why it had not been realized for long. And is it because of the diplomatic constellation? And is it realized because of the strong determination of the current president?
I think so. You're correct, Ken Sasaki-san. 18 years ago, and we have to admit and acknowledge and admire the determination of President BBM in having these laws passed and signed. So it was made part of the priority measures of this administration. And as what Congresswoman Arena has been saying, it has been mentioned in several international fora, even by the President. The last time was in Singapore, and in all DFA should correct me if I'm wrong, in all international consultations with other countries. So we have to admire the President for signing this.
Thank you. Okay, let's go back to Tristan Nodalo of Newswatch.
Just a follow-up, although you've mentioned that the purpose of these laws are for clarity for the government policy, but of course there are also talks of pursuing another international case with against China in the international court. So will repeated violations of these laws solidify our case with China? And then second would be, how do we plan to gather, apart from the IMO, international support on this maritime laws, like our allies, Philippines, US, Japan, etc.?
Siguro, let me cite you one concrete example. Years ago, when a Chinese vessel caught loitering near the vicinity of Tawi-Tawi was monitored, the explanation given by the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs was that you don't even have a maritime zones law or even an archipelagic sea lanes law. How can you prevent us from stopping near the Tawi-Tawi Sulu Strait? So it goes to show that beneath the resistance, they still acknowledge not just the need, but the presence of a law that should have prevented them in the first place from quote-unquote loitering yung tumitigil. Yung ASL natin, ibig sabihin, dire-diretso ka lang dadaan. Thank you.
Okay.
Pagod na kapoy na kami.
Last question, Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Hi, sir. Sir, will the designation of our archipelagic sea lanes affect in any way the global sea trade by limiting lang yung mga areas where they could pass?
I think I'll answer that question. Senator Tolentino already referred to the process within the UNCLOS that requires archipelagic states that declare archipelagic sea lanes to conduct a consultation process with the IMO. So the designation of sea lanes through this archipelagic sea lanes law is a parallel process that we are going to undertake and are currently undertaking with the IMO. So it's one thing that we enacted this law, but we're also doing a parallel process with the IMO wherein we are consulting with the user states about the viability of the designated sea lanes that we put into the law. We're quite confident that we will be able to address any questions that user states will have with regard to the designated sea lanes. UNCLOS is quite clear about the kinds of sea lanes that should be designated. They should be the ones that have been traditionally used for navigation. And so the choice of the 3 sea lanes was carefully studied through, as Senator Tolentino has said, several years. So the interagency group chose these sea lanes because precisely they have been traditionally used for navigation. So I think we will get the required support from our partners and other user states.
Okay, well,
Last
thank you.
tanong po, how long do you think will the consultations take?
There has only been one other country that submitted archipelagic sea lanes for the approval of the IMO, and that was Indonesia. And Senator Tolentino had mentioned earlier that it took them 2 years for the consultation process to proceed.
Before we end, maybe perhaps we can hear from Assistant Secretary Alvarez of the Department of Foreign Affairs on the significance of these. Oh, sorry. Gentleman at the other end.
Just to reiterate that these 2 laws are very important for our legal domestic framework in terms of our maritime security and economic development. It really clarifies the limits of our entitlements as where we can apply our sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction. And certainly, it's a reaffirmation of UNCLOS and the 2016 arbitral award. And the 2 laws clearly show what is true for the Philippines, as is stated in UNCLOS and 2016 arbitral award. I think that's all I want to add to that.
Thank you. And also Undersecretary Tiangco, since this is all about territory, you are from NAMRIA. We'd like to hear from you as well.
Thank you very much. As the technical arm of this team, NAMRIA is always committed to providing the technical requirements in undertakings such as this. And in this particular case, the delineation and delimitation of our maritime zones and archipelagic sea lanes, of course, in coordination and in cooperation with all our partner agencies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And in closing, Senator Tolentino, any final words?
I'm just so happy.
Thank you. Well, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Senator Tolentino, Undersecretary Lopez, Undersecretary Tiangco, Attorney Ganchun, Assistant Secretary Alvarez, and Congresswoman Arenas. Thank you so much and congratulations.
Ganda nung batas, di ba? See you again on my next upload video. Bye, bye, bye. And baboos, God bless Philippines. Congratulations to our beloved President.